was it being able to recruit off of guys knowing what your offense was going to be like at Oklahoma versus when you first got here a year ago?
Yeah, it was different. It was, it was good for us in that I think we had more of a sense of what we needed. Obviously got a much better sense of what we have here on campus, what we lost, what we've got to replace. I think it was easier for the guys that we were recruiting because instead of selling them on a vision, we actually had a product out there that they could see, and see the success and how we're going to use the different positions. So I think that helped this year. It helped definitely in closing some guys at the end, but I think that impact will be seen more, most likely in next year's class and beyond that.
Seemed like it also really helped having Baker around a lot. I saw a lot of pictures floating around on social media where he was always around the guys and kind of putting his best foot forward to impress guys too.
Sure. No, all of our players did a really nice job of that. When you've got guys like Baker and Samaje and a lot of our guys that take the time to do it. Those guys are big names on the national scene based on what they've done here. Those are guys that these recruits have been watching on national TV for a long time. And so, yeah, I think for them to take the time shows how much that this program means to them. And I think it's a little extra something special to the guys we are recruiting.
Having early enrollees is always important, but how big is it having Austin on campus after Cody's?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. The reps that he's going to get even before Cody made his decision, and obviously now, that's just increased the amount of reps that he's going to get, the opportunity that he's going to get. He gets a chance to, just settle into college life a little bit earlier, which is a key. That's not something people think about a lot on the outside, but that's just as important. So, he's obviously going to factor into what we're doing sooner rather than later. And for him to be there, with Baker and our other guys, with me in the meeting room, all the reps of spring ball, already settled in when summer gets here, just gives him a head start and obviously a head start that we'll need.
What about his maturity? And when you told him the news, I'm sure he's aware that he could easily be number 2 next year as a true freshman.
Well, we knew that coming in. As we recruited Austin and as the recruiting process started with Kyler, we knew that was a possibility. And any time you've got a quarterback returning like Baker, and you've got some other good players in there, that's always a possibility. And let's face it, kids aren't as patient as they were 10, 15 years ago, at least in my experience. We had a run, I think, at Texas Tech where we had, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had 4 fifth-year seniors in a row start there. It was either 3 or 4. And now that wouldn't happen this day and age. Guys, with being able to, the graduate transfer rule, it's just kind of changed. And guys are less patient, and they tend to move on a little bit more quickly. And we know that's part of it. That's for better or worse, that's part of it. And so you've got to be prepared. And, we lost, 2 good ones in Cody and Trevor, and I totally understand. But, we replaced them with, 2 of the top guys respectively in each of their classes in the entire country, with Austin and Kyler. So, we think that position was a strength for us this year and feel like it will continue to be.
Lincoln, you guys were out there well known. You were after some high-profile guys at wide receiver. What was that like down the stretch, being able to flip Zach and with Michael? Was that a shot in the dark for you, or was that something you've been working for a while to be able to get him in there just for a day to talk to you guys? Zach's was more of a process. We knew about Zach, very early on in the process. He was one of the first guys that I can remember Coach Gundy taking me by to see when we got hired here, and was a guy that we had our eye on for a long time. And we got to a point here at the end where the scholarship numbers, dictated that we were able to move that direction. And Zach himself, when you go back and watch his junior film, to us, we saw a really talented guy that if he really dedicated himself to it and continued to work hard at the things that he needed to work on, could be a great player. And you saw him as a senior become a great player. And we love seeing the guys trending up. There's a lot of these guys that they start getting those offers or that attention, or they have some success early on in their career, and you see them flatline. And Zach made a huge jump. And so we were impressed with that. And he, to be able to get him up here and flip him was important.
you know, Mike's was a little bit different. He and I had stayed in touch kind of sporadically throughout the process. We offered him early in his, I think last spring, we offered him, I believe, and stayed in touch back and forth, but just never really got serious. And then, you know, at the end, the conversations got a little bit more serious, and we got him up here last minute on a visit. And like a lot of kids, when he got here, he just couldn't stop talking about, you know, how impressed he was with this place and how maybe what he saw in OU was different than what his perception was on the outside. And we saw that with a lot of guys, I think, that visited. So, you know, once we got him on campus and around our guys, we felt pretty good about it.
How much did being familiar with Abdul Adams when you were at East Carolina help his recruitment, and that running back position, how much can he help with what you don't know what's going to have in the future with Samaje and Joe?
I think it was pretty important. You know, I think he would tell you that. You know, his was a battle. You know, but the credit to him is, you know, when he made that decision with us, he never looked back because he had everybody knocking his door down and had basically a kid that could go anywhere in the country. And but yeah, we've had a great relationship ever since he committed to us at East Carolina a few years ago. I've always been impressed with the kid, and you know, Jay Boulware did a great job with him. You know, those two developed a strong relationship as we went through it, and we think he's one of the more dynamic backs in the country. You know, I think he'll fit the mold of a, you know, of a Joe Mixon in terms of a guy that can just do a lot of different things, you know, and can be a great guy to turn around and hand it to, but also can catch the ball out of the backfield, can block, can just be a very, very versatile player for us. So, you know, and he was also a key guy with a lot of these recruits at the end as far as helping us and getting involved with these other recruits, which you always love to see because that tells you that he's in it, you know, for far more than himself.
Once he committed to Michigan State, it seemed like you guys maybe had gone opposite directions. Did he reach out to you guys, or did you guys just keep in touch with him throughout the time period?
We never went in opposite directions. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and he and I have been in touch here for, geez, almost 3 years now. And so, you know, I always felt like knowing the kid and getting to know him early on in the process that if we could ever just get him out here and let him see this place and get around the people here, that this would be pretty tough for him to pass up, and that ended up being the case.
Lincoln, you still don't have 100% certainty on Baker's situation in 2017, but projecting ahead with Austin and Kyler and their skill sets, I mean, is that coaches don't like to look too far ahead, but 2017 could be a lot of fun for you, I'm presuming, in terms of the competition and what you want to teach those guys? Yeah,
that's the plan. You know, I think with the product that we're putting on the field, I think we're going to be able to attract some top quarterbacks. You know, and we've got those two. We've got, you know, I think we're going to have that position locked down for a long time. I think, again, it's just going to be key for us to continue to bring in great depth because you never know on that. Again, like I said, the guys transferring out, all the attrition that you have at that position, not just here but across the country, you know, you better have backup plans, and you better be able to, and you better have an open mind, you know, for a situation like what came up with Kyler. You know, even when you're done, you know, maybe recruiting these guys, or even, you know, like last year when I got here, we made the decision to not go on a quarterback. You know, you better still be developing those relationships behind the scenes, you know, like we did with Kyler, even throughout that process when we knew, you know, that he was probably already going to A&M. You better have some plans in the works because you never know what's going to happen.
Lincoln, considering that, did you guys think about going and getting a second quarterback when you lost Cody?
Not really. It's you know, we feel really good about those two on campus right now, and again, we just did not feel like we wanted to rush into it, and it's hard to get two good ones in the same class. It's hard to do, and last thing we wanted to do is settle. And again, I look back at, like I said, last year at this time, and there was a little bit of that temptation as well, but we didn't want to rush into it. And I think now with how it's worked out, we're happy with that. And you know, you never know, another situation like that could pop up, and if it does, we'll be ready to act on it. But with the guys we have now, the guys that we'll have for you know, next year, including the guy we'll bring in the 2017 class, we feel pretty good about where that position's at.
You've said a couple times about the importance of getting guys here and the perception they may have. What surprises them about Oklahoma that they didn't know or didn't expect when they get here?
Yeah, I think that depends on who you ask. Definitely a lot of these East Coast guys saw Oklahoma as a national brand, but I think this is an impressive place. I mean, I guess you don't realize all the history. I mean, you know, just look around me right here. I mean, and even myself being in this conference, you know, the years I was before actually coming to work here, there's a difference between just coming here, seeing it on TV, or maybe coming and playing, you know, against Oklahoma here, and then coming and experiencing it the way that it is when we, you know, when we show you what it's like on official visit, and we show you the history here and that beautiful new facility that's getting ready to be built out back, and you see the quality of people that are here. I think a lot of guys, you know, again, probably are only tuned in to the schools locally at times. And again, we had so many guys from all over the country this year that once those guys got on campus, they were able to, instead of just hearing about it from a phone call or this or that, when they can see it, it makes a big impact.
How hard is it to recruit quarterbacks now with the graduate transfer rule, with everyone wanting to play now and not really accepting the fact of waiting a year or 2 years?
Well, you want guys that want to play now. You know, if they're in here wanting to do a 2 or 3 year plan, they're probably not our guy anyway. And so I think you just live with the fact that there's going to be some attrition. That's just going to be part of how it works. But I think when you put a great product on the field and you do it at a place, you know, like here, you're going to always have a chance at just about anybody. And like I said, I think we proved that with Austin and Kyler, and I think that, you know, regardless of any attrition we might have, we're going to continue to bring in some of the top guys in the country at that position.